Hey, I'm Raw Dog Roy, rocking the foo again, and more on the topic of unexpected awesome benefits of getting into raw foods. Chronic sinusitis. I used to have chronic sinusitis, and when I say chronic, I mean 5 to 6 full-blown sinus infections a year. And they were ridiculous. They totally incapacitated me. And when they didn't incapacitate me, I felt like I was in another world. It literally feels like someone's grabbing your head and going like that. It feels like you're getting this annoying facial massage all the time when you're walking around. Makes you dizzy, throws you off balance. For anybody out there who suffers with this, you know what I'm talking about. I have some family members that have this chronic sinusitis issue, and I'm trying to get them, into eating more raw foods and experiment with that. Also experimenting with getting the gluten out of their diet, because I had not known that gluten was the main culprit behind a lot of these issues for me. And I thought it was just, eating dairy products and whatnot. I tried cutting back on that a lot, but you know how that goes. And this is back in the day, long before I got into raw foods, when I was really, suffering with these issues, and before I even started playing around with the idea of maybe, going vegetarian and all that. But anywho, I found that when I started eating more raw foods, automatically, because of the nature of the food prep and what I'm eating, I was naturally kind of backing away from baked goods and bread products, which I totally adored. And, I used to be like a total baker. But turns out these foods weren't agreeing with me, and I didn't really discover this until I started messing with more raw foods. And I noticed that these sinus infections were diminishing. And like within the first year I've gotten into raw foods, I noticed that I went from having these 5 to 6 brutal infections a year to having about 3, and they weren't even that bad. And that was just in the first year of playing with raw foods during my transitional period. Whereas when I started, I was only eating about 50% raw foods and gradually easing my way up. And this was huge for me, because it just meant more time I would have in a day to feel good, do what I want to do, and not feel like I've been punched in the face. For all you people who've had that issue, I know you know what I'm talking about. And then after the year following that, second year of raw foods, it went down to like 1 sinus infection. And, even that wasn't that drawn out. These things used to last 2 to 3 weeks of just chronic, annoying little bits. Even after I'd get heavy doses of antibiotics. Got to the point pretty much back in the day where the doctors would boot me out of the office with nothing. They'd be like, go gargle some salt water. We can't give you any more antibiotics this year. And back then, even though I knew antibiotics, too much sucks, it was just so intense and annoying that I was like, just give it to me. Just give it to me. Come on, I got to get rid of this stuff. But I noticed that as I added more raw foods in my diet, cut out that stuff, the infections were going down, and the stuffiness and the chronic stuffiness was going down and down and down. And one day I decided to make a raw food recipe that had little trace amounts of gluten in it, because I was using nama shoyu that was brewed with wheat. And immediately after I ate this dish that I whipped up, I felt that pressure coming back, and I felt like I needed to go sit down and take a nap on the couch. So that kind of told me that my body's getting more in tune, and it's making me aware of what's in my food that's causing me some issues. So you might find that when you get into raw foods and start adding more in your diet, your body's going to become more in tune and give you some signals about what's going on, what foods could be negatively affecting you. Also, it's going to be loading lots of good stuff in your diet that's going to help bolster your immune system. We're going to be taking a lot of burden off your immune system by adding enzyme-rich foods that the body can easily digest. And you may find that you might experience some relief from these issues, as I have. So if you're dealing with this issue, you knew anybody who has dealt with this issue, or if you just think raw foods kick butt, leave a comment down below and let's talk about it.